Hello everyone, what's up and welcome back to another video. Today I'm hoping to keep it short and simple.
You sit on a throne of lies.
But I would like to discuss all the series that I'm busy reading, and while compiling this list I realized that I have way too many series that I need to finish, and there were some tough calls of which ones I wanted to DNF. So without any further ado, let's just jump right into the video. So much to my astonishment, I have 26 ongoing series that I'm busy reading. And it doesn't sound like a lot, but at the same time I'm like, it is actually. If you take that some series have like 7 books in them, some have a lot more, it's quite a lot. I listed 51 series in total that I've been reading, I think for the past 2 years. So 26 of them are ongoing, 19 of them I finished, and then 6 series I DNF'd. What I'm going to do is I'm not going to talk about the series that I finished because they're null and void. They don't matter at this stage in time. But what I am going to talk about is the series that I DNF'd as well as my ongoing series. The first series is, gosh, I don't even know. I called it When the Wishes Bleed series, and this is a series by Casey L. Bond. It is essentially about a witch who goes to the kingdom to discover who is trying to kill the prince, and in the end she starts falling in love with him and he falls in love with her. The problem with the series is it ends with the next generation of stories that is going to be told, and I am not interested in that. I would much rather have wanted the 2 main characters we have been following from the first book, you know, their story. And I don't know if it is their story or if it's just their kid's story, but from the description I read, it's their kid's story, and I'm not interested in that. So yeah, it was a great book, one-time thing, but that's where it's going to end. The next book is the Angel Fire series by Lydon Francis. I believe this is a South African author, and this is about a sci-fi kind of story where humans and other type of species, aliens, have intermingled, and what makes them stand out is their orb-like eyes. It's usually like this very intense blue kind of eyes, like fake eyes usually are. And this story, while I did enjoy the first one, I'm not interested in seeing where it's going to continue. I don't care. Okay, I have a lot of other things that I would like to focus my attention on, and this definitely isn't. It's kind of also space opera themed, and it was my first delve into space opera, so I don't know if that's the kind of genre I want. I don't know, we'll see. But yeah, the series just, it didn't intrigue me enough so that I want to continue. The next series might come as a shock to everyone, but it is the Virgin River series by Robin Carr. I have decided on giving up on this series. I read up until book 8 or 9, and then I was just like, you know what? I don't care anymore. The main characters that I really cared about was Mel and Jack, as well as Jack's sister, Bree, and her husband, as well as Preacher and Paige, and their stories have concluded. There were also some side characters that I were interested in seeing their stories develop, but now that each of their stories have developed, I'm just like, couldn't care. So I'm throwing in the towel. I don't feel sad about it, I actually feel relieved, so it is what it is, I guess. Then the next series is The Mermaid, the Witch and the Sea series. I read this book last year, and it is about one Imperial who falls in love with a very sketchy pirate, and the journey they go on while on sea to try and rescue a mermaid. The description is very complicated, so I'm trying to dumb it down for myself, but I just wasn't intrigued by the ending of that book. The story was so boring to me. Like, I wanted more. There was something really missing about that book, and I was just like, you know what? It does end on a cliffhanger, but I'm not interested in seeing where this is going. The next one is The Bridgertons. I read the first book and the 4th book, and I decided I dislike when comparing it to the series, and I love the series. So I would much rather watch the series and not know what's gonna go or what's gonna happen, instead of reading the book and comparing it and being like, oh no, this didn't happen, oh no, this was not supposed to happen. So yeah, I'm throwing in the towel with this one as well. I'm not interested in the books. And then the last one is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. I read the first book and thought it was okay. Now this book follows a 17-year-old girl who is essentially investigating the death of one of her, I believe it's her classmates. Even though someone is already arrested for the classmate's murder, she believes that they did didn't do it, and the guilty party's family is being ostracized by society. So she takes it upon herself to investigate what actually happened to the student and who was behind everything. And I have to say that although it was entertaining to listen to because I listened to it on script, the audio is very good because it has a lot of mixed media in it. I just felt the ending a bit underwhelming. Like, I was like, oh, okay, so this is the guilty party and this was his reason. Cool. And I read that people said if you don't like the first one, don't delve into the second or the third one because the third one is even worse, or it doesn't, I don't know, build up to expectations. And I'm not one to be swayed by other people, but I just thought because I didn't like the first one, what is the chances I'm gonna like the next one? First one is The Women of the Otherworld series by Kelly Armstrong, and this follows a group of women in the supernatural world, how they solve murders and work through their personal life experiences. I love the werewolf part of the series because there's a werewolf part, there's a witch part, there's a ghost questionable part, and then there's also another witch part, but it follows another witch. That's very confusing. Anyway, so I really enjoyed the series, and I have 2 books left, excluding the novellas. Why aren't I finishing this? And I really love the series. I really love Kelly Armstrong's writing. It's just a matter of me going, I don't want the series to end, so I'm putting it on the back burner. That's a problem. But yeah, so the only one I have left is Spellbound as well as 13, and then I'll be done. But I don't want it to end because I have a feeling bad things are gonna happen, and I don't want them to happen. So yeah, I might come back next year with this and be like, so I've read the second last book, but I haven't read the last book. The next one is the Anita Blake Vampire Hunter series by Laurel K. Hamilton, and this follows a vampire hunter who is also an animator as she works through mysteries that surround the vampire community in her town. There are usually deep, gory mysteries involved in it, and it's a secret society of vampires. Granted, the people are aware of the vampires in this world, like they are aware of the supernaturals, but they try and stay away, kind of thing. Like, you don't want to be associated with them. And Anita Blake is just this badass vampire hunter who, you know, is just trying to keep the peace between the humans and vampires and the other supernaturals. I've only read the first book. There's 23 books in the series, so I have a long way to go. But I do really enjoy the series so far. There wasn't a point in time where I was like, ugh, I don't want to. I think it's because I like urban fantasy, so, you know, it's entertaining for me. The next series is the Shatter Me series by Tahira Murphy. This is a dystopian series about a girl who is locked away because if she touches anyone, they die. She basically sucks the life out of them. And she is being experimented on, and then she is taken to a confinement where the re-establishment, I can't remember, the current bad government want to use her powers for the greater good. So yeah, this is basically just her journey of falling in love, working through her powers, that kind of thing. It's not a bad series, it's just that I really need to be in a certain mood to pick it up, and I haven't been in a while. So I only read the first 2 books in the series, the main books, and then the first 2 novellas in the series. The next one is The Ravens by Cass Morgan and Daniel Page. It's luckily a duology, so it might go by fast, and it's young adult, and it is about a secret society which is at a university. It's a fun book series. I don't know, the first book was fun. And I just need to read the second book, but I don't know, I want to keep it for October for the spooky vibes because the first book gave me spooky vibes, so yeah, shifting it to October. Then I have the Seven Realms series, or is it I think it's a series, anyway, by Cinda Williams Chima, and this, I believe, is a high fantasy series about a kingdom in ruin who's being ruled by a very flaky, questionable wizard, and a young boy who was roped into this because of magic he didn't know he possessed, and a princess who's in love with a god. Like, I love that part of the story, and yeah, it's just a whole series of magical beings and elements coming together to fight the evil in this world, I think. Because I haven't read the first book in such a long time, so I really should do a recap, but yeah, that's one of them. Then I have to finish the last two books in Once Upon a Broken Heart series. I can't remember what the series is called, but I read the first book, and it is about this girl named Evangeline, and she tries to save her sweetheart from marrying her sister because she believes her sister put a spell on her sweetheart. And she goes to the god of love, I think, I might be wrong, and she essentially asks him for a favor, and in return he gives her like, I'll do this for you, but you have to do 3 things back for me. And then she goes to the wedding where everyone is turned to stone, and in order to save everyone, she has to drink a goblet that turns her into stone and makes everyone human again. So she believes her sweetheart is going to save her, she drinks it, she turns to stone for 6 weeks, and then the story kind of picks up from there, where she is roped into a bigger kingdom, high stakes stuff, you know, that kind of thing. It's a very intriguing book. I'm very interested to see where the series is going. The next series is the Game of Thrones series by George R.R. Martin. I don't think I need to explain what Game of Thrones is about, actually. I feel like everyone knows what it's about, so yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. Game of Thrones. I need to finish the series. Although the series is not finished by the writer himself, I have the first 7 books. The next series is the Nothing is Promised series by Susan K. Quinn, and this is a dystopian series I discovered in the beginning of the year about people who use green energy to power the world, and how someone in one of these government agencies who focuses on the green energy is sabotaging one of the islands that our main character is living on. And she's investigating who's behind this, and she puts herself and the family that she's living in danger. It's a portrait, I believe, so we're gonna see how it pans out. I think every book follows a different character, so somewhere along the line their stories intermingle, but you get snippets of what is happening in this world or on this island through each of their perspectives. The next series is the bane of my existence, the Letters of Enchantment series by Rebecca Ross, and I think everyone knows what this is about, or you would have known by the cover, but it's essentially about 2 people talking to each other on 2 magical typewriters while there is a god war going on in their world, and how they report on that as well as fall in love with each other over these letters. And while I did enjoy the first book, it wasn't that exciting for me. Like, I see everyone giving it 5 stars and I was just like, it's fine. I got a 3, maybe 3.5 star vibe from it, so yeah, it was a fine book. That's all I can say. So I just want to finish to see how this all plays out. Luckily, again, it's a duology, so it won't take me long, but I'm procrastinating because I didn't enjoy the first book as much as I thought I would. The next series is the Me Before You series by Jojo Moyes. I've read the first book, and this is essentially about Luke Clark, who is taking on a job of looking after a paraplegic, and how she falls in love with him and tries to convince him that the choices he is about to make will not only affect her, but it will affect his whole family and society. And it's a heavy topic regarded on self-death, so that's what the first book is about. The second book, I believe, just follows Lou after the tragic incidents that happened and how she works through her pain, basically. I don't know if I want to continue with the series. I have the first book, and well, I had the first book and I have the third book, but I'm not inclined to get the second book, so I don't know if I should just DNF it and sell the third book. I don't know. Still on the fence with this one. The next is the Wicked Darling series by Rebecca F. Kenny. I read the first book in December last year. It's a Nutcracker retelling of fairies. It is a dark romance, so just want to put it out there. Maybe on a scale of 1 to 10, I would give it a 4 for dark romance. I don't know how high dark romance goes. Just so you know, I'm not your dark romance girly, so don't come to me for recommendations, but it is labeled as dark romance. So again, the series follows different characters but are set in the same world, so you get snippets from other characters that you've come across, but you don't necessarily have to read the first book to read the next book. I just like reading in chronological order. So yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna pick up the next book pretty soon, but if I'm in the mood, because Rebecca F. Kenny's writing is pretty amazing, flows very fast, pretty entertaining. So yeah, maybe one day when I just want something brain dead to read, I'll read that. The next is the Inheritance Game series by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, and this is about a young girl who is roped into a very glamorous type of family, and she is given this, I wouldn't say media tycoon, like he's corporate tycoon kind of guy. He gives her all his money. She, along with 4 of his grandsons, have to figure out riddles as to why she got the money. It's basically a young adult mystery, and this was one that kept my attention pretty well, so I am definitely going to continue because I need to know the whys. What is happening? That is what I want to know. What is happening? The next one is the Gothic Shade of Romance series by Karina Hall, and this is, in short sentences, a Sleepy Hollow duology retelling. I've read the first book, enjoyed it a lot, but it did end on a cliffhanger, so I really need to figure out what's going to happen in the next book. The next series is the Belladonna series by Adeline Grace, and this is about a girl who sees death and ends up going to one of her family members' houses where she discovers that the house is being haunted by the mother, and how she's trying to unravel the mystery of who killed the mother. Let me tell you, I didn't see the plot twist coming, so I would definitely recommend this book. I don't know if I'm going to enjoy the second or the third books as much. Who knows? Who knows? But we'll see, because I really enjoyed the first book. There were plot twists left and right. Although some of the reasoning why it happened and what was happening in the process was like questionable, but you know, I enjoyed it. So who can complain? Then I have Before the Coffee Gets Cold. I'm not going to try and pronounce the author's surname because I will butcher it pretty badly. So this is basically about a magical coffee shop where if you drink coffee, you can be transported to the past or the future, but only until the coffee gets cold. If you don't deal with your issue and the coffee gets cold, you are stuck in that world. The idea is to rush through everything just so you can figure it out. It doesn't change the past or the future. It might just wang a little bit so that, you know, things may go your way or things may not go your way. So yeah, I don't know what the next books are about, but I hear they're also gut-wrenching, so it's great. Then we have the Divergent series by Veronica Roth. I am hungry, so yeah, anyway. Let me try and just get my composure. By Veronica Roth. I read the trilogy, but I have 4, which is like the novella from 4, how he became 4 and his journey throughout being in the Divergent. Where was he? In, you know, the people who are badass and who aren't scared of any adrenaline stuffies, that stuff. Dauntless. I was looking for the word dauntless. I have this merely on my list because it's on my 24 books to read for 2024. So if I knock that out of the park, I'm done with that series. So I just need to get to it. Then we have The Morganville Vampires by Rachel Kane, and this is a young adult vampire series about a girl who moves to Morganville where there are secret vampires living there, and it's a whole society of vampires, but nobody knows about it because once you leave town, you forget everything that just happened in town. But she's going there because she's a genius prodigy, and she's going there for university because her parents don't want her to go to Yale because it's not safe. Yeah, send your daughter to a small town where weird things can happen. Sure. Anyway, so yeah, we just follow Claire and the house where she stays in eventually, and how they work through the politics that is involved in this world. Then we have the Firebird Trilogy by Claudia Gray. This is a dystopian novel about a group of scientists who discovered how they can manipulate a device so you can time travel and you fall into a part of yourself when you time travel into this world. And yeah, the first book was just a journey of this girl trying to find her father's murderer and slowly falling in love with the murderer. But there's a plot twist you didn't see coming, and you probably will once you read the synopsis. But yeah, it was very entertaining. I really loved it. Gave it 5 stars last year, and I just need to push myself to get to the next books. Don't worry, I am almost done, and then I can have a movie. The next series is the Red Queen series by Victoria Aveyard, and this is, have you read Powerless? If you've read Powerless, it kind of gives me the same vibes, but this is basically just about a low-life girl who goes to court because she has strange magical powers that she shouldn't be having, and how she is forced into situations, working through these situations kind of thing. I read the novella, loved the novella. I didn't continue with the rest of the series. The first novella, I mean. I don't think there's more, but I don't know. But then I have the Ulterior Chronicles series by Whoever Knight. I also read the novella, and this, I can't remember what the series is about. I also think it's just urban fantasy about a girl who lives in a magical city, but she's being hunted down because she used her powers for which she wasn't supposed to. Don't know, but yeah, still need to read that. And then I have the School for Good and Evil series about two friends who, the one who believes there is something like a school for good and evil. So she always tries to be nice with people, but there's like an underlying thing, so she's not really nice. And then there's one whose appearances aren't all that great, and she's always being teased at, and when they are being abducted, the one who always acts nice is landed in the school for evil, the one who's ostracized lands in the school for good. They go to the principal to try and figure out if they can swap, and then the principal gives them a riddle and says if they can figure out the riddle, they can swap again. And just this journey of appearances may be deceiving. I read the first two books. I just found some of the things repetitive, so I put that on the back burner, and yeah, I haven't continued with the series again. Although it's a very nice middle grade series, I just didn't pick it up yet. Second last one is the Fractalverse series by Christopher Paolini. I read To Sleep in a Sea of Stars, and I believe Fractal Noise, which came out late last year, is like a novella or prequel to Sleep in a Sea of Stars. I would really love to read that series, but the problem is that book is so expensive. For such a thin book, it's like 300-400 rand, and I'm just like, you're not even hardcover. Why are you this expensive? So yeah, I need to read that one. But it's, I wouldn't say space opera, I would more say, well, it could be a space opera, sci-fi book. There's a lot of mixed reviews going around this, but I really enjoyed that book, although it took me 2 weeks to read it. And then the last series is The Poison Tree Path Chronicle by Joan Campbell. This is a South African author, and this is her debut novel, and it's about magic and people who are fighting for that magic and people who will do anything to get to that magic, and about this one girl who is destined to marry into an elite family, but not for romantic purposes, for political purposes, and she escapes just before these things can actually come to fruition. And yeah, now you just follow her on this journey of discovering more magic, that kind of thing. I don't know how else to explain it. I really enjoyed this book. I recently read it, and I really want to read the rest of the books very badly and very quickly. Otherwise, my attention span is going to drift to something else, and then I won't be able to read it. But that is going to be it for this video. If you've stuck around until here, please remember to like and subscribe. Let me know down below roughly how many series you currently have ongoing, because I can't be the only one who has deep in the 20s. And I'll see you guys in a video next week. Bye!